What's going on, everybody? We live. VJs on Sports Like Conduct. Show's about to start live on radio. You guys all already know how I do. I got to come on here first, get everything set up here, and then once the radio portion is set up, we'll get into it. So we're going live in like 12 seconds. Great show for you guys this morning, man. Great show for you guys. I'm hustling. I'm a hustler. I haven't been to sleep since yesterday, since 2 nights ago. Cam hasn't been feeling well. Cam's had a fever. So we've been on it. What's up, cousin? I see my cousin Kiana in the building. Her son playing the Sonic Boom at Jackson State. I got family at HBCU playing in the HBCU bands at Jackson State. So big shout out to my homegirl, my cousin, man, and her very, very handsome and smart son that's down at HBCU Jackson State, making us all proud, making everybody proud. Everybody, I gotta switch. That thing keeps rubbing up against the microphone right here. All right, so we live in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Live from Hollywood, California, VJ Vernon Husky, the Big Vanilla Funnies, Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Unsportsmanlike conduct.
Microphone checker, swinging sword lecture, closing down the sector, supreme neck protector. Better want him, kid, Mr. Mepsa. Falling pop, about to blow his lid from the pressure. Too hot for TV, for cheesy. Too many wanna be Harvey Easy. It's all in together, going on, not together.
I really want to let that rock, but I can't, man, because of copyrights and all of that other bull. They really need to change that, man. I'm not acting like I made the song. I'm showing love that I love the damn song. A song that is with two rappers in it that's been around since the 90s, since I was in high school. Those two guys have been around. So it's just me just showing love, man. Welcome everybody to VJ's on Sports Like Conduct. I'm your host, VJ Vernon Husky, aka VJ Wright, Mr. 8515, the Big Vanilla Funny, the Creamy Cat, the Creamy Kobe, the Big Vanilla Shaq, the Blue Eye Barkley, VA's Top Tall Boy, Mr. Never Shut Up, and the Big Vanilla Color Card. Because sometimes in sports and sports talk, sports journalism, broadcasting, and coverage, sometimes you got to play that color card and you got to let everybody see it. And when it needs to be done, I am your Vegas dealer that will allow you to play your color card. Great show for everybody lined up today, man. I got just so much I want to talk about. NCAA, we'll go through some bids. We'll talk some NBA. We'll talk some NFL. Free agency starts in 3 days, guys. 3 days. Who do you want your team to get? Free agency starts in 3 days. So who are you looking at kind of like, I think I want a piece of that. Or I think I need that on my squad. Or I think I need this on my squad. What players are you looking at and that you think can help out your team? I got a few from my beloved Miami Dolphins and a few that I think a few other teams should probably be looking at to bring onto them. We'll also talk a little bit of NBA basketball. There was a half a slate of games last night, and you guys know me, man. I bang on the NBA. I've talked about the NBA. The NBA ain't never gonna give me a job because I just call what I see. And last night there was something that was so-called historic, and I saw it as just microcosm and just a platform of how bad the league is today and how bad the league's been for a very, very, very long time. So we'll talk about that too and get into that a little bit with the NBA. But first, I want to start off by something that I feel is important to talk about, and it doesn't get talked about enough, in my opinion. Sports changes fast. You have to be aggressive as a coach. You have to be aggressive as a GM. You have to be aggressive as an athletic director. You have to be aggressive as a VP, as a GM, as an assistant coach, as a recruiter, scouting. You have to be ultra aggressive in sports today because sports change fast. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl this year. They had been in the playoffs in over a decade. They were 7-19 with a quarterback that had over 40 turnovers. You insert Tom Brady, Gronk, he did a little bit. Leonard Fournette did a little bit, 357 rushing yards all season long. And AB, a little bit, touchdown here and there, caught a touchdown. And the Super Bowl, where the offensive coordinator says he actually ran the wrong route. He ran the wrong play. He didn't even know the plays. But Brady's so good, he still can make that read, make that throw, get him a touchdown. That's how fast the NFL changed. It really looked like going into the season before Brady chose the Bucks. What was going to happen in New England with NFC? Well, the Packers have been to the conference championship the last 2 years. Yeah, the San Francisco 49ers that won the conference was in the Super Bowl. What happens? Defense falls apart. Injury after injury after injury. Garoppolo gets hurt. Receivers get hurt. Running backs get hurt. Next thing you know, they're picking in the top 10. They were just in the Super Bowl. League changes fast. We had no idea where Dak was going to be or what was going to happen to Dak. I knew because I said it 2 years ago on The Odd Couple with Chris Broussard on Fox Sports Radio. I said he's going to get his $40 million. Jerry's going to pay him, but he should have paid him first. Should have paid him first. But Jerry's going to pay him. The guy that I would have got rid of is Zeke. Zeke, when you went to Cabo, bro, God, you could have 2 first-round picks for Zeke Elliott. Ever since he got that contract, I also said on that same network, that same show, sitting in that same chair with the same co-host, and I told him, I said, hey, once he gets his contract, he will never be the same Zeke again. Oh, well, he still averaged over 4 yards a carry. Empty numbers. Don't give me empty numbers. If you know me, you know I don't fuck with empty numbers. Don't give me empty stats. They didn't go to the playoffs, and you want to tell me about his yards per average? This year, though, caught up to him. Not 1,000 yards, led the league in fumbles. Doesn't run with the same ferocity. Doesn't run with the same passion and anger and vigor when you broke. And you ain't got that big money yet. Those rookie deals, guys, listen, you could blow that on prostitutes and cocaine in the summer. That ain't no money. That ain't no real money. Matter of fact, my man Kenneth Clark is listening and just tuning right now. He used to be in the money industry. Kenneth will tell you 200 grand, 300 grand. Ain't no money. Ain't no real money. Real money is millions. The money you can leave for your kids and shit. That's real money. Not saying anything wrong with having 200, 300 grand. When you play in the NFL, that ain't no money. So you going to fight. And it's just like rap music, right? It's just like R&B. It's just like music. Who's everybody's best album? Their first or second album. I love Prince. Lord rest his soul. Prince was the godfather of the Vanilla Brothers. I am now the president of the Vanilla Brothers Coalition of America for brothers and sisters of a fair skin and a lighter eyes. Y'all already know how I gets down. Prince put me in charge. Prince had phenomenal work through his entire career. What's his best work, though? Purple Rain, the Batman soundtrack, like early stuff. You know what I'm saying? I want to be your lover. Like, he was 17 when he wrote, I want to be your lover. Like, if it come on right now, you start. He didn't even want to talk to the press. He was embarrassed. He was embarrassed on if you guys remember the clip they showed when he was on Soul Train. He didn't want to talk. How long you been writing music? Like, what the hell is that? Is that 4? Were you mute? What are you, an infant? You can't talk? But everybody's best work is their early work because they're hungry. Same in pro sports, same in the NFL, especially in the NFL because it's wear and tear on your body. But things change fast. Now Dallas looks like they could be a front runner in the NFC just that fast. When we're looking at Tampa and we worried about J.J. Watt, and we all worried about Deshaun Watson, we worried about over diva Sierra Wilson. Oh, I'm sorry, not Sierra. I mean Russell Wilson. He acts like Sierra, so that's why I get them confused now. He acts like Sierra, so I get them a little confused. Excuse me. But look how fast the league changes. Look at the teams and how fast the league changes. The Philadelphia Eagles just won a Super Bowl 3 years ago. They just won a Super Bowl. Traded the quarterback number 2 overall draft pick Carson Wentz out of North Dakota State and fired their coach Doug Peterson. What the hello? That's fast. Miami Dolphins. Brian Flores goes and takes that job. They've gone through 21 quarterbacks since Dan Marino. Flores takes the job, starts 0-8, turns it around this year 10-6. Now they're talking in the offseason is where are the Dolphins going to do at number 3? Are they going to go after Deshaun? Is Tua going to be the starter? Is Tua the guy there? What are they going to do with that 3rd number overall pick? They're going to take a receiver. The receivers are big name guys. You're talking Devontae Smith, who people are calling the next Marvin Harrison. You're talking Jamar Chase, who should have been able to come out as a sophomore. That's how great he was in the national championship game. He had 4 touchdown catches in that game. Like he was killing in the national championship game. He had 4 touchdowns, but couldn't come out because the sophomore decided to opt out. Save his body, work on your game, work on your body, work on your skills, get ready for the draft. But look how fast Philly has turned around, and look how fast the Dolphins have turned around. Dolphins haven't been to the Super Bowl in forever. Philly just won one, and who's the better team right now? Who would you say the better team is? I would say it's the Dolphins. They're the better football team. Philadelphia got defensive issues. They got receiver issues. They got running back issues. You got a quarterback. I love Jalen Hurts. I think he's a franchise guy. I think he is the guy for the future. And I think they were smart to move Carson Wentz. And when Jalen Hurts started over Carson Wentz and Carson Wentz got benched, I came on my show and I said, Carson Wentz has thrown his last pass for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, he's thrown his last pass. I've seen this movie before. I've seen Goodfellas 100 times. Guess what, guys? He still snitches. He doesn't change. Harry's still a snitch. He doesn't change. I've seen the Gotti movie 500 times. Sammy the Bull still rats out John Gotti. It doesn't change. I've seen this movie. You get benched and they start the younger guy, especially the guy that people are looking at like, hey, if they play him, they'd score more. If they play him, they do this. Or if they play him, once that guy gets in, only guy that got a chance back was Ryan Fitzpatrick, and he shouldn't even have got that, but I get it. Tua was sticking it up in Denver. We as a team was sticking it up in Denver. 6 drop passes that game. Offensive line looked like shit that game. Couldn't run the football on Denver. Everybody runs the football on Denver. Von Miller's been out all damn year. They don't have a pass rush. Chubb now Chubb knows what it feels like to be a number 1 pass rush guy. It's easy when you got Von Miller on the other side. Former defensive player of the year, former Super Bowl champion. It's easy when you got that other guy. Now he's gone. Now the attention's on you. A lot harder. League changes fast. Look at Seattle. Look at the Patriots. The Patriots have run the NFL for 20 years. 20 years. Just that fast, Tom Brady decides to go. I love Cam Newton. They re-signed Cam Newton. Cam Newton, I think like $7 million of it or $6 million of it is really incentive heavy, but the deal is for 14 years, but he's not a free agent. He doesn't have to go into free agency on March 17th, which is just in 3 days. Cam Newton's got a team. Cam Newton's on a roster. But the Patriots, they made the playoffs last year. League changes fast. And it's going to change fast for the Rams. Rams now have a veteran that's been in the league over a decade. They traded their number 1 overall pick for Matthew Stafford, who in 11 years never won a division, never won a playoff game, never even won a division up there. Yeah, you got to go against discount double check. There's been years he's been hurt. Now, just 2 years ago, they were mid-season. He got hurt earlier in the year. They were like 3-7-1. They had that one time. They were like 3-7 going into like week 15. It was a wrap for them. It was a wrap for them 2 years ago, and just that fast they turned it around. Conference championship game. And that's what's screwing up the number 1, their first draft pick last year, taking Jordan Love. You don't take a quarterback, in my opinion, in the first round unless he's ready to play now, or you're forced to play him now, or you have to play him now, or you want to play him now. You simply just want to play him now. I did a Zoom the other day with some other sports talk guys that I'm trying to start this show with, and I told them that day, if I draft you in the first round as a quarterback, you play for me. If I draft you as a quarterback in the first round, you play. You start opening day. I'm not wasting that pick for somebody to sit. We got that. That's why it's a first round draft pick. That's why they're so popular. They're so coveted. You got to play. You have to be a game changer and a franchise changer. You got to play right now. What's going to happen in Seattle? That could change very fast. We already know Houston's going to change very fast. Regardless of whether Deshaun stays or he gets traded, it's going to change fast, because if he doesn't get traded, you have a guy who said he's played his last down. You have a guy who said he'll never play there again. You have a guy that's already admitted openly he wants to be traded. He doesn't want to be there. He made sure he showed up in Miami to the Canelo fight that was at Hard Rock Stadium, where the Dolphins play. That's a hard situation to bring a guy back into. And Russell Wilson, he said, I don't want to be traded, but here are the teams that I would go to. Gives him a back door to be able to say, well, I never asked for a trade. I said I didn't want to be traded. But if you are going to trade me, these are the teams. If you don't want to be traded, you're not even thinking about other teams. Of course, probably the Russell Wilson fan will say, well, you got to keep your options open. You got to be prepared for anything. Now, miss me with that bullshit. Miss me with that. He's just trying to play both sides of the fence. But sports changes fast, man. If you even go flip over to baseball, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I would say, 2 out of the last 4 years, the Astros were the darlings of Major League Baseball. And then the scandal happened. And now people want to fight them. People want to throw at their batters. Fans are gonna kill them. I think they got lucky last year by not having to play in front of fans and having COVID hit. They can just go out of. I don't know how often. I know the Dodger fans hold on to it, and I know the Yankee fans will hold on to it. But for the most part, I do believe that they will be. They escaped a lot last year that they were probably gonna face, and I think people move on. Fans move on in sports fairly easy. There's always the next team they hate or talk about. It's always the next guy in trouble. There's always somebody next that you can jump on and you can bang on. It's easy to do in sports. It flips every day, it flips every week, every month, every year. But just how fast it changed, how fast it flipped. The New York Yankees, I can remember in the late 90s and the early 2000s, they ran baseball. And all it took was a Gonzalez up the middle blooper off of Mariano Rivera, the closer of the universe, in the bottom of the ninth with a guy on third, down in a tied game for the World Series. And we saw the Yankees again in the World Series in 2009, and then that's been it. And even in 2009, they had a bunch of juice guys on that squad. They brought that. They brought that. They bought that World Series as much as any of them. I give them props on the first four they won. Those are just great, put together, planned out teams. That's respectable. But the '09 World Series, bunch of minute juicers on that squad. That just calling like I see it. But sports changes fast. You have to be aggressive in sports. And I'm not seeing that in the NBA. And that's what's kind of blowing me about the NBA right now. And just something really quick. We talk about these numbers and these stats. First of all, disaster averted for the Philadelphia 76ers. Disaster averted. You're welcome, whoever prays. Whoever prays for Joel Embiid, whoever his grandma, whatever relative really prays sincerely for his success and his health, and congratulations, because disaster averted. That looked like an ACL. Everybody thought it was an ACL, and MRI comes back. Not an ACL, not an MCL, no timetable. He'll be back. And I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I believe that because Durant didn't have a torn Achilles a few years ago, right? Just a this or that or a strainer. It was like it was holding on by a thread. It was holding on by a thread, okay? And we all watched it through his socks. We all watched it pop in the NBA Finals. It was holding on by a thread, but it wasn't torn. But it was holding on by a thread. And I think that might be the case for Embiid. I don't want to wish injury on anybody. And it doesn't really matter because, as I said a few days ago, the 76ers remind me of the guy that's on the 405 out here in LA. Those of you that know the 405 and the 5 out here, I mean, these highways run north and south almost completely all the way up Southern California. The 5 goes further than the 405 does, but the 405 is a lot more popular and it's a lot faster. It's wide. It's a wider freeway than the 5, and it's wide open sometimes when there's no police out. So I said the Philadelphia 76ers reminds me of that guy that's in the 405. He's leaned back. He's in the left lane. He's cruising. He's doing about 65, 70. Anybody here that lives out here knows that you definitely got to be doing 80 in the left-hand lane. But he's doing about 65, 70. He's got a nice car. And he's got a little honey dip in the passenger seat. A little voluptuous honey dip, too, showing a little cleavage and everything. And she might got a friend in the back, and he got a homeboy in the back. And they're just enjoying the ride right now. And they look in their rearview mirror and nobody's there until they spot this black on black Lamborghini. You see a lot of those out here. Black on black Lamborghini coming up fast, speeding up fast on their ass. That's the New Jersey, that's the Brooklyn Nets. I'm showing you how old I am. I forget that they're the Brooklyn Nets. That's the Brooklyn Nets coming up real fast on that ass. And if Embiid goes down, homeboy got to get out the left-hand lane and get all the way over to the right because you can't even be in the middle too. You got to get all the way to the right. Embiid is a MVP candidate. He is averaging 30 and 13 right now. He realizes, or Doc Rivers told him, or somebody got in his ear and said, hey, we understand what the league is, but guess what? You're bigger, more skilled than everybody in the post. There's nobody that can guard you. If you just take maybe a 3 or 2, but get your butt in the post and just bust everybody ass down there in the post, you will average 30 a night. And he is averaging 30 a night. If he goes down, Ben Simmons can't shoot and score. Tobias Harris can't cover. We've already seen a Tobias Harris led Philadelphia team. We've already seen what that looks like. Who else is going to lead that squad? So the disaster overted. I text one of my really close Philadelphia 76er friends, and I sent them to Denzel Washington meme where Denzel's in the chair. He hits his chest and is like, ah. And he said, facts, big facts, bro. And that's the same meme he said he used to text his family and friends back in Philly this yesterday morning when everybody got the MRI news. So once again, disaster overted. But here comes the Brooklyn Nets, and they're coming fast. 12-1 in their last 13. They didn't shoot well or even really particularly play well against my sorry beloved 10 and 28 Pistons. James Harden had a triple double last night. But think about it. Durant's only played 18 games, guys. And Durant is averaging right on 30 points in 18 games, 30 points a night. So let's add water and stir. Just add Durant and it's 30. Add Durant and it's 40. Add Durant and it's 45. I don't watch USC much, but I have the TV on here in this Vanilla Sports Talk Batcave, and this guy got knocked out in like 16 seconds last night, flush in the face, right on the nose. He got his ass knocked out. That's why I say I ain't gonna front. I can't do UFC because once I come to, I'm mad. Like, I'm ready. No, we ain't done. We keep fighting. I don't care what he counted to. I don't care if I was out. Let's go. Because that's just punching with just them little pad gloves on. Boxing is more of a sweet science. And I'm not saying there's no science in UFC, but UFC feels a little more personal. That's all I'm saying. You knocked me out and then you jumped on me and you hammer hit me and hammer clawed me 3 times before the ref can get in there. Like, I'm pissed when I get up. Like, I'm ready to fight. Like, I'm meeting you in the locker room. I'm meeting you in the parking lot. We got to finish this, bro. Especially if you embarrass me like that. But I'm looking at the NBA and I'm talking about the way things are changing fast. And boy, has the league changed fast. One of the reasons why I bang on the NBA because I don't think anybody really plays defense. I don't think anybody really plays super hard. With the way defenses have played in the league, I'm trying to figure out why there's not like 7 or 8 guys that average 30 or more. Why is there only 3? You got Embiid at 30. You got Bradley Beal, who leads the league. And then I think those might be the only 2 over 30. And Bradley Beal, I think I'm missing somebody. I'm thinking for some reason I feel like I'm missing a player. I'll look it up in a second. But I feel like it should be like 7 or 8 guys. Steph is right there. Steph is at like 29 something, 28 something, or in that area. But I feel like there should be like 7 or 8 guys that average 30 a night in the NBA. Last night, there were 6 triple doubles last night. 6 of them. 6 triple doubles. Harden had one against the 10 and 28 Pistons. Julius Randle had one against the 16 and 22 Oklahoma City Thunder. Giannis Antetokounmpo had one against the 14 and 23 Washington Wizards. And then Russ had one in the same game against those same Bucks, 24 and 14. And then Sabonis had one against Philly. Philly's 25 and 12. There were 6 of them last night, but only 2 of them were against quality teams. The team that has the least amount of scoring, the team that is the last in offensive scoring in the league. Do you know defensively they would be first in the league if it was 10 years ago? I know that didn't sound right, but just think about that for a second. Just think about that for a second. The team that allows the least points per game today, I think it's like 104 something, point something. That would be first in the league a decade ago. The league you can't tell me they play defense. Everybody's giving up over 100 and 304 points a game. Once again, how are there not more guys that are averaging over 30 points a game? I was talking to Raynell yesterday, and we were talking about free throw shooting. We're talking about the Tar Heels missing the 2 free throws down the clutch that could have beat Florida State in the semifinals of the ACC tourney and put them in the championship game against Georgia Tech, which I think they would have won. And we'll get into the brackets and all of that stuff. I got every team listed here. We're going to talk about every team that's punched their ticket so far. There's 2 more automatic bids, I think, left today, and then selection Sundays today. And then I'll probably do a show tomorrow morning. Well, no, it won't be tomorrow morning. It'll probably have to be Tuesday or Wednesday morning. I'll do a selection show, and then we'll go through my complete bracket. But we're talking about free throw shooting. And I told her it's amazing to me, honestly, how there should not be, in my opinion, there should not be an NBA player who shoots less than 70% from the free throw line. How do you shoot lower than 70% from the free throw line? And if you're a guard, if you're a scorer, if you're one of these guys, it's got to be 80%. I feel the same way about field goal kickers. In the NFL, you should never miss a field goal under 45 yards. You're kicking from the 35. You're in the NFL. You're a pro. Like, you're a pro kicker. No kicker in college should miss like under 35, 40 yards. It's all you do. Free throw line is the same shot, the same distance every single time. How do you not make that 70% of the time? 75% of the time. I shot over 90% in high school from the free throw line. And that's not fake. AAU ball, everything. I was a shooter. I was a 2 and a 3. So I could shoot, but it never, there were times my release would even be off and I'd still get a lucky bounce or a roll because I was always taught elbow to the rim, flick the wrist. Elbow to the rim, flick the wrist. Elbow to the rim, flick the, I do it every time. Elbow to the rim, flick the wrist. It always makes me laugh when I hear people go, well, he changed his shot. What did he change his shot for? Just elbow to the wrist, elbow to the rim, flick the wrist. Only Reggie Miller got a funky release and Lonzo Ball got a funky release. That's 2 guys over like 10,000 men that have played in the NBA. I don't know if it's 10,000. That would be a cool number to look up. How many total NBA players has this been all time? But that just kills me about basketball and just some of the stats and some of the numbers I see. Defense is way down, and you still got guys who can't hit free throws. You still got guys who can't defend. You still got guys who can't make a pass. I'm watching the Pistons and the Nets last night. I'm a Pistons fan. I still watch my squad. I know we're 10-28. We're totally resetting. We just traded for Diallo from Oklahoma City. We're totally resetting our franchise and resetting our team. And I'd much rather them do that than try to do MacGyver fix-it work down the line. I'd much rather them just reset, like the Dolphins, just reset. Get rid of who don't want to be there. Get rid of all the bad contracts. I know it takes a year or two. New coach, new GM. Just start over. You're not winning it this year anyway. You're not winning it next year anyway. Like, just start over. And that's what. And so I'm watching my Pistons and I'm watching the Nets last night. And even Harden sometimes. I'm watching these guys just throw passes away and just fumble the ball. You just did not see the lack of concentration, the lack of focus, and the lack of just killer instinct. Like, who's the killer in the league today? I grew up on Magic and Bird, killers, Jordan, killers, Isaiah Thomas, killer. And then that came along with Olajuwon, who's a killer, and KG was a killer. Whether he won a championship with Minnesota or not, he was still a killer. It wasn't his fault he didn't win in Minnesota. He did have to go through Kobe and Shaq. Kobe and Shaq is the reason why Chris Webber doesn't have a ring. Kobe and Shaq are the reason why if you think about it, the only Western Conference teams that win a championship in the last 20 years, let's just do 20 years. Lakers, Spurs, Mavs. Wow, that's it. That's 3 teams? Hold up. And okay, Western Conference. NBA champions in the last 20 years in the Western Conference. Lakers, Spurs. That's 10 of them right there. And then the Mavs have one with Dirk. Boston's got one. Detroit's got one. The Heat have 3. Oh, I'm sorry. And Golden State. Okay. All right. I was about to say, wow, that sounds really weird. And Golden State. So there's 4 teams. It's 4 Western Conference teams in the last 20 years that have won the championship. Just 4. That doesn't mean there's not other killers, but sometimes it's just dominated by Sir Jordan for 8 years. In the 8-year span, it was Bulls, 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 Rockets, Rockets, Bulls, Bulls, Bulls. Sandwiched in with Pistons, Spurs. Pistons and Spurs. Think about that. Sandwich stand with Bulls, 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 Rockets, Rockets, Bulls, Bulls, Bulls. Bottom line, things change fast. You got to be aggressive. You got to go for what you want. And I think too many teams wait late, wait for the playoffs, wait to be better on defense. Play better now. Play better now. What the hell are you waiting on? And that lack of aggressiveness is the reason why certain teams who probably can win and should win just simply won't. So enough of that. Enough of all that stuff. Enough of sports change and open and rant, man. I want to open up anybody on the show that wants to join in. Just let me know. I'll bring you in on IG. Call lines open also too, 860-614-8257. And I want to start to talk some college basketball because I didn't get to talk a lot of college basketball last year because of COVID. There was no tournament. There was no conference tournaments. And then this year, it's just been real funny with tests with positive tests and contact tracing, but they got the season done. They're getting the conference championships done. I know there were a few good teams that couldn't play or had to bow out of the conference tournaments because they had positive tests. But the good thing about the tournament is if they're going to be a number one or number two seed, it's still going to hold water. It's still going to hold water at the end of the day. We've seen those same type of teams lose in the conference tournament, but they're still a number one seed because they've dominated the season. If Gonzaga didn't win their conference, Gonzaga would still be a number one. Baylor probably is still going to be a number one, even though they got beat. West Virginia can still be a number one, even though they got beat in their conference tournament. I think those three number one. See, I think Baylor gets a number one. I know Gonzaga's going to get a number one. Michigan can still get a number one, but I believe if Illinois wins the Big Ten championship, that's at 3:30 Eastern time, 12:30 Pacific time against the Fuckeyes, Ohio State, aka Ohio State. If Illinois wins, then I think Illinois has got to be a number one seed. So your number ones would be Baylor, Gonzaga, Illinois, and maybe you can still give Michigan a number one seed, even though they did lose in their tournament and they did lose the Illinois in the regular season. I would just love to see that because Illinois and Michigan have this thing going about who's the true number one and conference champion this year for the Big Ten. They got a thing going back and forth. Michigan is saying it's them. Illinois is saying it's them. So anything that brings any type of controversy to who's the champion like that, I think I think that's worth that's worth a some drama. I'll say. I would love to see them play each other in the tournament. The selection committee needs to make that happen. So what I'll do, man, is we're gonna go through all the automatic bids. Every team that's got an automatic bid so far, all of them are done except for you do have the LSU and Alabama game, and I believe LSU and Alabama might be on right now, or I think it starts at 9:30. But you have LSU and Alabama that are going to play for the SEC Conference Championship, and then you have Ohio State and Illinois are going to play for the Big Ten Conference Championship, and then everything is done. And then Selection Sunday will line up Selection Sunday, and here we go. So we'll start with the ACC, my favorite conference because it's my Tar Heels. Georgia Tech won the conference, so Georgia Tech's going to get an automatic bid. Georgia Tech kind of got really lucky because Virginia had to bow out. Carolina didn't hit the free throws against Florida State, and they turned around to beat Florida State. I thought Florida State was probably going to win this thing after they beat Carolina. That didn't happen. This is Virginia. This is Georgia Tech's first trip in 28 years. It's the first time winning the ACC tourney in 28 years, and this is the first time that they'll be dancing. I thought I was supposed to have some theme music for this segment right here. Hold on. I found some music, and I know YouTube is going to be pissed, and they're probably going to silence me at some point, but I do want to get some since we call it the big dance, I do think that it does deserve some dance. I think it does deserve some dance music. While we talk about the big dance. Let's see what we got here. Y'all remember this? There we go. Y'all remember this, John? You can dance if you want to. I love this song, man. All right, so we'll let that play a little bit. Turn that down a little bit. Dance. Okay. Every time I hear that little I think about Revenge of the Nerds 2, Nerds in Paradise for some reason. I have no idea why. But anyway, first dance in 11 years. Jose Alvarado and Moses Wright are the two guys to look for Georgia Tech. Jose Alvarado, this is a really good story. He had a really emotional post game interview with ESPN afterwards, tears in his eyes. He has a daughter. He's a senior. The part that I loved is that he told the coach, "You're a champion now, coach. I'm a champion." And he said he gets to go into the crowd into the bleacher, tell his daughter, "Daddy's a champion." And me being a father, I mess with that hard, man. I thought that was pretty dope. So Georgia Tech's in from the ACC, the American East. Shout out to some of the people I know that went to UHart, that's University of Hartford back in Connecticut. I spent 7 years of my life, started my radio and sports talk broadcasting career right outside of Hartford in a town called Farmington, which has a studio called Nutmeg TV. We actually became their number one rated and viewed TV show. I had 42 episodes of my own produced, directed, and hosted and created sports talk show from Hartford. So Hartford, who's a fourth seed in the American East Conference, gets to the big dance for the very first time. Shout out to all my people back in Connecticut. Shout out to everybody in Hartford. Congratulations. The Atlantic Sun Conference, Liberty from my home state, Virginia, second year in a row that they've made the tournament, can rebound the basketball, play decent defense. I'm not sure if they'll get a win in the tournament, but it's just cool that you can see their program back-to-back years from my home state. Shout out to Liberty. And I had a friend of mine who played at Liberty, played football at Liberty, and another female I know played girls basketball at Liberty that I went to high school with. So shout out to Liberty. Big 12 championship, Texas, Kansas had the cancellation. Most people thought Kansas was going to win that conference. They've had a really good year. Bill Self has done it again for Kansas. The team that probably get a 2 or a 3 seed when the brackets come out later on today. But hey, Shaka Smart, he was on the hot seat. And regardless of however this season shaped up or however it went, he still gets the win of the conference championship tourney with the Big 12 and with the Texas Longhorns. So shout out to Shaka Smart. This is Texas also. Think about it. This is their first Big 12 championship tournament title in 24 tries. So, and their 2C are number, I believe they're a 2C. Some people think they could, for some reason, be a 1. I don't know why, but I do think they're a 2C. Shout out to my man Patrick Ewing. Anybody that knows me knows how I feel about Patrick Ewing. I'm not a Knicks fan, but I feel like the NBA is better when the Knicks are good. And I grew up listening to Marv Albert on Yes Network call the games for an MSG Network call the games for the Knicks, and just the white towels in the playoffs waving. The whole Oregon playing with the defensive chant, Pat Ewing, Greg Anthony, Mason, Oakley, Johnny Starks, Doc Rivers, Pat Riley coaching, or Van Gundy coaching after that. The wars with the Sixers and the wars with the Pacers and with the Heat. It's so many Nick memories in Patrick Ewing. And then people did not think he can go take this team and get them to a tourney and win that conference and even be an effective college coach. He wanted an NBA job. No one in the NBA gave him a job. He was an assistant for years, 15 years in the league as a player. The Knicks retired his jersey in MSG when he went back in 2003. Could you imagine being on that Georgetown team and you go play in the Big East tournament and your coach's NBA jersey is hanging in the rafters? You got to be ready to play that night, man. Like you got to bring the heat. You definitely got to bring the heat that night, man, and make sure you go get that win. So shout out to Georgetown. They were 8 seed in an 11 team tournament, and Patrick Ewing also won 2 of his own Big East titles, 2 of them tournament titles in MSG as a player. And now you win one as a coach for the team you won one for as a player. You know John Thompson is smiling down. Pat Ewing, just one of the great guys that I just think doesn't get enough respect and enough due of his basketball career from college. If it's not for Michael Jordan, I mean, hitting that shot in Louisiana Superdome in '82, it's not for that, man. Ewing's career could have gone so different. I mean, I'll just leave it there. Shout out to Georgetown for winning and making a big dance. It's been their first big dance in a few years for themselves and quite some time. And Patrick Ewing is taking them there. Big Sky, Eastern Washington. This is their first trip since 2015. It was no number one seeds have advanced out of that tournament and won that tournament in like 11 years. In the Big Sky, it's like 11 years where the number one seed doesn't win that tournament. They're probably going to be one of the first four in teams, and they'll have to play Tuesday. So their road's going to be really tough. And I'll wait till the brackets come out to see who they would play. But I would mark down Eastern Washington having to be one of the first four in, which means they have to play on Tuesday. The Big South, Winthrop. I got a friend that graduated, played basketball down there. Excuse me. This is their second time in a row. One thing to look out for them: they average 80 a game as a team, so they can score. You would have to go up against a real dominant basketball team, I think, to hold them back. And I think that will keep them alive in the first round, and then maybe they can make a run. Remember, there's a team coming up that I'll name here that made it all the way to the Final Four back in 2018 that nobody saw coming. And Winthrop, they could be that team, but I'm not gonna put everything on it like I did a few years on another mid major. So shout out to Winthrop. Big West, UC Santa Barbara, first time since 2012. Ja'Cory McLaughlin is their guy to watch. Watch for Ja'Cory McLaughlin. He's a kid who can score, rangy, could make an NBA roster if he works hard. He's probably got to go to the D League, but he is a guy that will get some looks at from NBA teams because he could just put the biscuit in the basket. That's the name of the game. The Colonial Athletic Division, Drexlers, their first time since 1996. And in that year, they actually won their first round game. They beat Memphis. So shout out, congratulations to Drexler. Conference USA has North Texas, first time since 2010. In the Sun Belt, that's when they were in the Sun Belt. They're 0-3 in the tournament. They won in the tournament before, but they've been to the tournament before. Excuse me, but they have never won a tournament game. But congrats to North Texas for getting back from Conference USA. Excuse me, Javion Hamlet is the kid to watch on their squad for anybody looking to play some side bets on who's going to score what or how many points or what have you for the Vegas stuff. But we'll get more into that probably tomorrow and Tuesday's show. We'll talk about the betting lines and things like that on each game. That's going to be so fun. I'm going to set aside like $65 to put $1 on every game. I'll put $1 on every team and see what happens, man. Horizon League, Cleveland State. This is their third time. They actually got to the Sweet 16 back in 1986. And I think they beat Wake Forest in 09. So that's a team that's got some experience. I haven't seen Cleveland State play at all this year, so I'm not going to act like I have. But third time in, Sweet 16 86, won a game in 09. Horizon League. We'll see how well they do in the tournament. Shout out to Rick Pitino. Rick Pitino is back dancing in the Metro Atlantic. I know people were crazy when he went to Iona. You know what? Pitino's a G. Patino's a G, whether you like the guy or not, whether you agree with the guy or not. Listen, Patino is a G. I understand some stuff went sour and went south at Louisville. Guys, it happens at a lot of schools. It comes down to who's loyal enough to the program after they leave, and for the kids that are coming through behind them, who's loyal enough to the program to keep their mouth shut. What happened in Louisville happens at a lot of schools. We're hearing about Les Miles at U and LSU right now, right? Right? We're hearing about Les Miles at LSU. I mean, even to the worst of the worst, we hear about Sandusky up at Penn State, right? You know, like there's stuff that happens at all these schools. Got the stuff at Michigan State, the stuff at Ohio State. Like there's a lot of Aaron Hernandez in Florida with the Pouncey boys and Reggie Nelson. Like there's plenty of people doing a lot of negative things. It happens at a lot of schools, but nobody bounces back like Pitino, legendary Kentucky coach, even had an NBA job with the Celtics for a short period of time, goes and coaches at Louisville, does well at Louisville, and then gets fired and run out of Louisville. Nobody thinks he's going to coach at Iona. And he goes and he coaches at Iona. This is their fifth straight time to the conference. They shoot 36% from the three, a Pitino-type team. They put up a lot of three-pointers, and they blew their championship game out and won. And Pitino was very emotional that he's back in coaching. Not only back in coaching, Patino's back in the big dance, man. So there's something to be said for that, in my opinion, man. So I tip my hat to Rick Pitino. Mid-Atlantic Conference, Ohio, first time since 2012. They went to the Sweet 16 in 2012. And then a year they went to the Sweet 16. They can shoot and score. They shoot 55.8% from the field. So they're a team that can put the biscuit in the basket and get some points. Just depending on the draw in the first round, can they keep a game close against a higher ranked team? I'm assuming that they're 13 or 14 seed. Ohio's probably a 13 or 14. If they're a 12, that works out great for them. Everybody knows how the 5-12 matchup works. At least two 12s beat a 5 every single year. And you want to stay out of that 8-9 matchup. But if you're an 8-9 matchup, which I'm praying my Tar Heels don't get an 8 or 9, because you got to play a 1 seed right in the second round. Joe Lunardi has them at a 7, and I like that. I'll take a 7 for my Tar Heels this year. Hopefully a 6, because I hope they look and see how well they have just gotten better all year long and how well Carolina's playing. And I hope that at least bumps them up to a 6. 7's still tough, but they're not a 12. They're not that low. I don't want them to get a 5 because then they would have to play a 12. And that right there, I've already told you, is scary enough. So I want to stay away from that. But I think that's where Ohio's going to end up. They're going to be about a 14 or a 13 seed. Mid-Atlantic Conference, Norfolk State, the Ncaa. Norfolk State, the HBCU. Got to put up the power fist. Got to flex the bicep for the HBCUs. HBCUs, man. Norfolk State's in first time since 2012. And you guys remember there was a year Norfolk State got into the tournament 2012. They made a little run. So they won a few games and again got to the Sweet 16. Missouri Valley, Loyola from Chicago. If you guys don't remember this, Loyola from Chicago, if you guys remember 2018, they got to the Final Four. And they have, I think, 4 players on that team that were part of that 2018 team. So they remember what that was like, what it took. You got some veterans and some older grad kids on the team. I think can make a little run. I got to see the bracket first, but they've done it. That's what I like about them. They've done it, and they're back, and see if they can do it again. The Mountain West, San Diego State. That's Kawhi Leonard's alma mater. They're in the big dance. Northwestern Conference has Mount St. Mary's. They're in the big dance. Ohio Valley got Morehead State in to win their championship. The Pac-12 gets Oregon State in. Oregon State's Pac-12 championship going through Colorado, beating Oregon, and then being down to UCLA and fighting back. So they really fought to get this conference championship. Shout out to Gary Payton, who I freelance for Fox Sports sometimes, and he used to be over there too. Real cool guy, but gets mad really, really fast. He needs anger management really, really bad. Gerard Lucas, is the kid to look at and watch when you're watching Oregon State. Kid can fill it up and he can shoot from outside. And anytime you can shoot, and if you can drive and penetrate and get to the line, you got a shot for your best player to have a good game and to have her. And when that happens, 9 times out of 10, you could get a conference. That's the easiest way to get yourself a conference win. A tournament bracket win and move on to the next round. Southern Conference has USC Greensboro. They've been there 4 times. Last time was 1996, though. So this is a long time coming for UNCGB. I got a few homeboys that went there. Actually, just one. My man Carlton Matt went there, played defensive back on the football team. Summit League, Oral Roberts, first time since 2008, so they haven't been there in a while. Sunbelt got App State in. The SWAC got Texas Southern in. They're probably going to be a first 4. I have Texas Southern probably playing on Tuesday. They'll be one of the first teams in and have to show what they got real early. Western Athletic Conference got Grand Canyon. They shoot 52% from the field, too. Another team that shoots over 50% from the field. These are little numbers and little nuggets to look for and watch, especially when you're talking about betting money on these games and you're talking about teams that can just hang around. When you can score, you can hang around with the big boys. I'll say it like that. You can hang around with the big boys if you can score. And then also, last but not least, West Coast Conference, Gonzaga. Gonzaga's been great forever. They've been really, really good. It's just real surprising that Mark Few and that program have not won a national championship all the way back to the days with Adam Morrison and just other really good players that they've had. Is this the year that they get over the hump? Now, with all of that said, there are still teams that are going to get number 1 seeds who did not necessarily win their conference. And you talk about teams like Baylor. I believe Baylor's going to get a number 1 seed. Gonzaga's going to get a number 1 seed because Gonzaga won their conference, and Gonzaga's been the number 1 ranked team pretty much all year long. So I think Gonzaga gets a number 1 seed. I think if Illinois wins the Big Ten championship today, Illinois gets a number 1 seed. You also have Alabama You have Iowa. You have some other teams that lost in their conference. Also, too, I got a really cool number and stat here, too, man. There's only one team in the top 10 or 13, top 13. Only one team in the top 13, top 10, excuse me, that won their conference. So if you think about all the teams in the top 10, Baylor lost. Illinois plays today. Michigan lost to Ohio State. Iowa lost. Alabama's going against LSU right now. Utah, Arkansas, Ohio State, West Virginia. Ohio State's got a shot tonight, but Ohio State and Illinois are going to cancel each other out. Kansas lost. Oklahoma State lost. Texas won their conference. They're ranked number 13 in the AP poll, all the way down to number 16 in the coaches poll. Quick sidebar: coaches poll stupid. They need to get rid of it. They need to get rid of it. How you have the coaches voting on this? Come on, you can't tell me there's no biases. There are. You got some coaches who probably just look who somebody else pick or just go with what they went with last week. See who won or lost. I'm worried about my team. I'm not about to sit here and rank all these other damn teams that I want to beat. I just hate the coaches poll. They need to get rid of it. So yeah, only one team in the top 13 so far has punched their ticket by winning the conference. Illinois and Ohio State will cancel each other out today, and Alabama's got a shot against LSU. So even though there's 32 teams already filled in with the brackets, two more conferences to come up. You got to believe Gonzaga's a number one. You got to believe Baylor's a number one. I think those are two lot number ones. If Illinois wins today, Illinois is definitely a number one. But there's something to be said for Ohio State, who's ranked ninth right now in the AP poll. If Ohio State were to win that conference tournament and the conference that played really, really well, if you think about it, Illinois, Michigan, Iowa, Ohio State, there's four teams right there in the top 10 that's out of the Big Ten. Next would be Purdue down at ranked at 21. And then that's it as far as their conference is concerned. They have four teams in the top 10. So if Ohio State beats Illinois, you got to think Ohio State would have a big asking for a number one seed. Here's the thing that I don't like about bracketology, and I've seen this happen from time to time in different years, is where they come on air and they say, well, we already kind of had the bracket set. And I think that's bullshit. I think you should wait till the conference championships are done. Now, I think, like, if you still want to give, like, for instance, like I said, if you still want to give Baylor a conference, a number one seed, that's fine. Because I don't think Houston gets one. I don't think Arkansas gets one. Ohio State, once again, Illinois are going to cancel each other out. Michigan did not win their conference championship. They have to fall in the polls, and then Ohio State's probably going to jump them. Or if Illinois wins, Illinois is ranked 3 right now, so Illinois gets the third number one. So then you look at the other 4 number ones. If Alabama wins and beats LSU today, then you would have to give it to Alabama ranked number 6. Those are 3 conference champions should get the number one seeds, who are all ranked in the top 5 when conference championship, top 6 when the conference championship started. I'm still playing We Can Dance. I know Twitter's probably not Twitter. I'm sorry. I know YouTube is probably like, yeah, we've silenced you. You playing You Can Dance a little too much, a little too long. But those are all the teams that are in. Those are the guys that I think can take and get a number one seed. I'm very interested to see how these games all seed out. My Tar Heels, I hope, like I said, I get a 7 seed. I would love to see Carolina get a 7 seed and be able to at least get itself into the Sweet 16. If Carolina makes it to the Sweet 16, I would honestly, truly feel like it was a successful season. If Carolina would somehow get into a 7 seed. So we'll sit and watch. I'll watch all the college basketball today that's on, and I'll sit here, help my son get his fever down. Cam had a fever, his first fever in his entire life. And I didn't freak out. I think I handled it pretty well. I think I handled it all right. But at the end of the day, that is my guy, and I was slightly worried about him, and I just want my guy. So I'm going to sit here and baby him and cuddle him all day long until his fever goes down. We'll figure it out from there. So flip over to the NFL real quick, man, before I wrap up this morning show. I'm not going to go super, super long today because there's so much to bottle up for tomorrow with a bracketology show. I would think probably on Tuesday. I'll try to do it over there on Tuesday. So the other day we were talking about free agents and where some guys are going to go, where you want some guys to go. Cam Newton's now off the list. He's going to re-sign in New England, even though I thought Carolina, Denver, and Washington would have been really good for him. Now, Washington plays great defense. I thought that would have been the best opportunity for Cam Newton because their defense is so good. But Belichick's going to get some guys back who opted out, and 5 of them opted out on defense. And then I think they lost 3 to free agency. They had 8 new guys on defense, starters on defense this year. Not 8 new guys in Patriot uniforms, of course not. But they did have 8 new guys start on defense. Alex Smith's name is still out there. I still like Chicago for Alex Smith. I think Chicago fits. Nagy's there. He knows the system there. You got a number one and Robinson. You got to run it back, and you have a defense. You have a playoff-made defense right now. Alex Smith walks in the door. You're better right now. You're better than what you have with Mitchell Trubisky or with Nick Foles. You're better. He's not going to turn the ball over a lot. He's smart. He's a veteran. He's not going to get in any trouble. He's not going to be distracted. He's going to show up. He's going to work hard, sun up to sundown every single day. Probably one of the first guys in, probably one of the last guys to leave, or a guy that stays all night, or a guy that sleeps there. Football is that integral nowadays, man. You got to be there. If I was a rookie or a second or third year, I need to sleep here. I need a car here. Ocho Cinco said he'd do that. Ocho Cinco said his first 3 years he lived at the stadium, and Marvin Lewis found out about it. Was like, hey man, you got to buy a house. You can't stay here. You can't stay here, man. Like he literally was living there for his first 2 to 3 years with that team. He was trying to save his money. He didn't want to spend any money. I would be that guy. I respect that. When I heard that story, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's real shit right there. Dak Prescott is not a free agent or a franchise player anymore. He got his deal. 126 guaranteed, 75 he'll make next year. As I said earlier in the show, I think that pushes the Cowboys' expectations way up. I said they need to win a championship within the next 2 seasons. They got to get it next year or maybe the year after that. 4 years, 160 mil to the quarterback. Figure out the line. Dallas does have the 10th pick. Don't be stupid. If Rashawn Slater falls to you down there, Quiddy play on the defensive line. Maybe Patrick Surtain Jr. to help that secondary out. But I know Jerry Jones. I feel like Kyle Pitts, Jalen Waddle, one of those guys that slips, because one of those guys is going to slip. I don't think both those guys are gone by 10. I think one slips because there's 4 teams that want a quarterback. There's 4 teams that want a quarterback. So the receivers that everybody loves are going to slip. The Jags are going to take Trevor Lawrence at number 1. We know that. The bum-ass Jets, if they decide to move from Darnold, or if they make a trade for Deshaun Watson and they swap with Houston, Houston's going to take a quarterback. If the Panthers jump up, the Panthers are going to take a quarterback. If Denver jumps up, Denver's going to take a quarterback. And I don't think that they should, but I do feel like that if some way, somehow, for some very odd reason, if San Francisco wants a quarterback, they can jump up to number 2 or number 3 with Miami. I think Miami takes Jamar Chase. Penei Sewell sounds real good, and it feels like it would be the right pick. But to me, do you need a left tackle right now more, or do you need a wide receiver, a number 1, bona fide, can come in 1,000 yards as a rookie, put his head down, learn the system, don't drop balls, break tackles, run away from people, catch, score touchdowns. That's your job. Catch, score touchdowns, block a little bit on the run game. That's all you got to do. Keep your head down. You'll be a big star here in South Beach and Miami soon enough. But right now, keep your head down and let's go get it. Let's go get this money. Now, the Atlanta Falcons sitting at 4. I think Penei Sewell falls down to them because we know the Jags aren't taking them. The Jets may. That is as the only other team I think may do it. That may say, okay, Darnold's our guy, or at least say he's our guy for the next year. Let's go ahead and let's build the line. So when we do get our quarterback in a year or 2, or maybe next year, or the year after that, when we do get our quarterback, we already have that left tackle that's in his 2nd or his 3rd year. He's a pro now. He's probably been to a Pro Bowl. He's seen every front that you're gonna see, every type of pass rusher that you're gonna see, and then you can put a quarterback behind him. I find it hard to want to put a quarterback in front of. That's like putting a horse in front of the cart. Putting the cart in front of the horse. Excuse me, you can't do that. The cart don't pull the horse pulls the cart. The horse is the line. The cart's the quarterback. Got to put the horse up there first. In my opinion, they decide to do that. Cincinnati at number 5, I think, take a skill position player. I like Kyle Pitts there for them. If you want to get Joe Burrow somebody who's going to go against big physical defense, i.e. Baltimore twice a year, i.e. the Steelers twice a year. Oh yeah, by the way, Cleveland, that team that kind of came, that's growing and kind of turning their franchise around a little bit, or a lot, not a little bit, turning franchise a lot. They can play defense now too. So you need guys that can go get it. You need guys that can go get that money, go make things happen at the receiver position. Kyle Pitts fits that for them. Philly is sitting there at number 6. I don't think Philly takes. They could take a Jalen Waddle, but you do have Devontae Smith still on the board. So I think Waddle will fall. Then once again, you have the Niners at 7. You have the Panthers at 8. You have the Broncos at 9. I just think those 3 teams are looking for quarterback. Or I like the Niners to take Rashawn Slater from Northwestern. Big, strong, mauler, smart, tough. Play for Pat Fitzgerald, so you know he's tough. Went to Northwestern, so you know he's smart. That's what you need is offensive lineman, tough and smart. And guess what? He blocked Ohio State. He blocked Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State. Run programs, fast moving option type RPO type offenses. Not no, 3 yards in the cloud of dust type football teams. He had to block those guys. And then Northwestern had a good year. And then once again, I just can't overstate this. Play for Pat Fitzgerald, tough guy. I need my linemen tough and smart. That's why I like linemen out of Vanderbilt and Northwestern. And real talk, these smart schools, Syracuse, Michigan State, those schools aren't easy to get into. You play football, it's a different story. Be a regular student and then apply to those schools and see what they say. They laughed at my application. I know they did. I don't have no real proof of it, but I honestly do think when they looked at my shit, they was like, they was in the office with my application like, hey, Bob, come here, dude. Look at this dude's application. He actually thinks he can get in here, man. I'm gonna send him a consideration letter just to fuck with him, dude. He'll never know. He'll never know. So those are hard. Those are hard schools to get into. Northwestern 1-0. I like them to pick there. I say all that to say Dallas. It's sitting right there for Dak. You got to help fix the defense. I like Quiddy or I like Patrick Surtain in the corner. Do that. Take an offensive player. You have enough offense on the offense. You have enough offense on the offensive on the offensive side of the ball there. You have enough. You still have Cooper. You have CeeDee Lamb. You still got Zeke. People love the 2 tight ends. They have 2 tight ends. People love it. You have enough. You got to fix that defense sooner or later. Some of the other free agents that just drawn interest to me too, with free agencies looming. Guys like AJ Green, guys like Patrick Peterson, older guys over 30, while T.Y. Hilton, older guys over 30. But I believe in the right team, in the right system, with the right situation, they still can be productive. T.Y. Hilton, I have a wonder about, but I believe AJ Green. If you put AJ Green in the right situation right now as a veteran who can teach the young guys, and let's get real, he's missed a lot of time over the last few years. That means he doesn't have that wear and tear on his body from the last few years. That's a positive. That's a positive thing that I would look at as a GM and say, hey, where one guy may say, he's been hurt. Yeah, but he also means he hasn't been playing either. He hasn't been getting hit. He hasn't been getting beat up on. And we already have a number 1. We're going to add AJ. AJ Green looks great to me right now with, Green Bay. You line him up opposite of Devontae with Lazard. Oh, my God. They re-signed Aaron Jones. I hope they don't, because I want Aaron Jones in Miami. There's a big interest there. There's a big mutual interest there between those two. But that's why I want Aaron Jones. So I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't stay there. But there is a place for AJ Green. I like the Packers. I'm going off the top of my head right now. So I like the Packers. I think it would be easy to say Tampa, but they're already franchised. Goodwin down there. They got receivers, and I think now you would just be overloading, and that can be a bad thing, because you can probably still use another lineman. You could probably still use another running back or a third down back or somebody. I don't know if you need AJ. Philadelphia for AJ. How about getting Jalen Hurt, a veteran like that, to come in with whatever young receiver you take with the 6th overall pick. How about the Dolphins? How about the Dolphins taking a flyer on AJ Green? Hey, get out of Cincinnati. Come on back to the South where you're from the state of Georgia. Come on back to the South where you're from. Come down to South Beach. Get out of that cold and sleet and slush and gray and dreary Ohio. Like, Ohio is one of the worst states I've ever been to. And there's a lot of pride where people are from. I don't give a shit. I don't care about your pride. I got pride in Virginia. And there's people that go, Virginia? Yeah, Virginia, where I'm from. I don't let it bother me. It ain't get to me. But the hell with the state of Ohio. Y'all been to Ohio? Don't y'all remember Joe Kim Noah was like, yeah, have you ever been to Cleveland? You think so? He looked at that guy and goes, you think Cleveland's cool? You think Cleveland's cool? You think it's cool to be from Cleveland? I never heard anybody say, "Yeah, I can't wait to go to Cleveland." You know what I'm saying? That's like Delaware, and I got family in Delaware. But who the fuck wants to go to Delaware? Like, do you guys remember Wayne's World when they were showing all the trips they could win places to, and they were like, "Or you can take me to Delaware." Hey, I'm in Delaware. Like, there was like, what do you do? What do you say? It's Delaware. It's like if you didn't have to know that it was a 50 state, you would never say it. But if Cincinnati is in Ohio, you come down to South Florida, you come down to Miami. They would love AJ, not Miami, Miami. There's all the mommies and Cubanos and Dominicanos and Puerto Ricans and Boricuas. There's a lot of all that down there, AJ. You get a young Tua opposite side, another big receiver opposite of Devontae Parker with whatever young receiver. Could you imagine if the Dolphins signed AJ Green, draft Jamar Chase, you have Gasicki at the tight end, and you still have Devontae Parker and still Preston Williams. Woo! Was that 6'3, 6'4, 6'6, 6'5? Oh my God. All them big targets for Tua. You don't even need to use the 18 pick on a running back. Stick with Gaskins. Take that 18 pick and take the best guy off the board. If I was Miami, that's what I would do. Go free agent at receiver. See if you can get an AJ Green. I'm like I said, I'm not sold on T.Y. Hilton, and I know Juju is the easy name everybody's throwing out there. And I know the Dolphins are young and want to stay young, but I think for a year or two, you throw some money at AJ. I like 2-year deal. So the 2-year deal Miami for 25 million. 25 million, 15, 16 guaranteed. That'd be a great deal to get AJ Green down there. Beautiful South Beach, Florida, playing with Tua, opposite of Devontae Parker, lined up with Jamar Chase, the number three pick. There's two Southern guys right there. There's LSU and Georgia's two SEC receivers right there with an Alabama quarterback. Like, that's beautiful. I'm smiling right now. Y'all can't hear me on the radio. See me on the radio smiling. Everybody's on social media watching me right now. They see me smiling. They see me smiling. I'm smiling. That's a beautiful receiving core. But there's some other receivers. A lot of people like Galladay from Detroit. It's Detroit. Whoever leaves Detroit and goes and does. Golden Tate was there, right? Got drafted out of Notre Dame. Golden Tate was in Detroit and then finally got out of Detroit, went to the Giants with a younger quarterback and with Saquon Barkley at running back with Sterling Shepard from Oklahoma as a receiver there too. Somebody tell me what he did. They just cut him. Who leaves Detroit and does better? And Ndamukong Suh was there for years. Top 5 pick. Stole $105 million from the Miami Dolphins. Our defense while he was there running, the 4 years he was there, our run defense while he was there, 26th, 25th, 29th, 30th. Who does better once they leave Detroit? That's why I think this Matthew Stafford thing, I really do want to believe in it because I'm a Matthew Stafford fan. I cover high school football. I remember when Matthew Stafford was in high school coming out of Texas. I thought he was great. I mean, he's put up a lot of great numbers and he's had some great moments, but he did, once again, never won the conference in 12, 11 years up there. Never won a conference, never won a playoff game. Never won a big, big, big game. And now you want him to leave there and come to LA, and LA's got issues because I know they have great names on the table, but LA's got some issues when it comes to a little age and wear and tear. People should be very weary that Aaron Donald got hurt tackling. Like his job is to tackle people. How the hell you get hurt tackling somebody? Aaron Donald got hurt tackling somebody. A quarterback at that. Sierra Russell Wilson. I call him Sierra Russell Wilson because he's starting to act a lot like her. So that's what it is. Y'all know I got my quirky nicknames. Paul Pierce is P2. Aaron Rodgers is Discount Double Check. You know what I'm saying? LeBron is Baby Bron. Like I got these little stupid quirky nicknames that I give people, and Andre Miller from the NBA. We used to call him when I first started my show. He was still in the NBA. We used to call him Uncle Andre because he was just that he had that old man YMCA game. That's like somebody uncle that come with him. Remember he was a teenager, and that one kid would bring his uncle that could hoop a little bit to the courts with him when his uncle would come in town. And you look and be like, man, I'm about to roast this old dude. And then he break out that old man smart game on you. That was Andre Miller out of Utah. That had a great career in the NBA. We called him Uncle Andre. That's how he balled. That's how he had a basic game. Just a certified fundamental basic game. And could toast anybody he wants. Paul Pierce is one of the slowest damn wing players I've ever seen in my life. It can get to anywhere he ever wanted to and get off any shot he ever wanted to get off, especially in his prime. Go figure. Slow as molasses. Frozen molasses. That's slow. Molasses is already slow. But if it's frozen molasses, we got problems. But there's a lot of these free agents for teams with the receiver position that I like, especially for my Miami Dolphins. And AJ Green is one of them. Like I said, I know people want them to look at Galladay. Nobody gets better coming from Detroit. And now here in LA, you do have Matthew Stafford, but they should be very wary of this team. Cam Akers at the running back position I like, but Robert Woods has been the steady on offense. Cooper Kupp has now been hurt the last 2 years. Cooper Kupp's been hurt, and Aaron Donald got hurt tackling a quarterback. Like it's there's signs there, and I don't think people are taking notice. And I tell you this too, the coach is overrated. I know a lot of people love the young, the fiery, he's a good-looking guy and all this other shit. He's a whiz kid. No, he's not. He got handled. He got handled in the Super Bowl that they went to. They couldn't score. They scored 3 points. He got handled. He couldn't get to the end zone. He couldn't get into the end zone in the Super Bowl. Couldn't get his offense there. But I really feel like that. Jeff Goff had to take the blame for that. He was the fall guy. He was the guy that traded. I've never been a golf guy, even when he was coming out of Cal. So I just don't see it. But okay, if you put talent around anybody can, not anybody, but if you put talent around good quarterbacks can be great. Great quarterbacks can be Super Bowl champions. If a quarterback's already great, you put talent around, they're going to win a Super Bowl. I.e. Joe Montana, i.e. Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning came out of college. He was already great. You just need to put talent around him. And then eventually he went to 2 Super Bowls and went to 3, 1-2. You put talent around great players, they become Super Bowl champion. You put talent around good players, they can become great players. Doesn't mean they're going to take you to the bowl. They'll just be great. There's been a lot of great players in the NFL over time and over history. Other teams, too, that I'm very interested in what New England's going to do, they normally trade down. They're sitting at the 15th pick, so I'm assuming New England will trade down. Giants, too, at number 11. Good young defense headed by Jabril Peppers. You do get Saquon back this year. You cut Golden Tate. You cut a center. So are you trying to rebuild that line and reshuffle that line, get that line together? Is Daniel Jones their guy? If Daniel Jones is their guy, and you got to go get him offensive line help. The number 11 pick, this has got to be a tackle for the New York Giants. It just does. You got to protect. And now Saquon's coming back from an ACL. Line's got to be good. Simple as that. The line's got to be good. You got to fix the line. The defense is good to go. Washington, if you look at that division, Washington's got a good defense. The Giants got a good defense. Philly's defense is good when they're healthy. The only defense lagging are the Dallas Cowboys, but Dallas has clearly the best offense. But the best offense, even before that got hurt last year, the best offense was still only good for a 2-3 record. Sorry, I had to take a swig of my water there on radio. Can't be too much dead air, and everybody sees what I'm doing here on my live streams. But you talk this much doing the show for almost an hour and a half, you bound to need a drink of water. But that division, the NFC East, it should be Dallas's. But I'll wait till the draft, and I'll wait till free agency's over. But I got a funny feeling The Dallas Cowboys will not win that division, and I love Dak. But I think that defense, Jerry with the 10th pick, he'll go pretty player. He'll go pretty player. He'll go big name. And there aren't any pretty big name players, I think, on defense this year. There's some really good players. Once again, put them around talent. They can become great players. There's not a great defensive player in the first round that's going to make that you put talent around him and he's going to carry you to a Super Bowl. There's no Von Miller. There's no Myles Garrett. There's not that guy. That guy's not in the first round this year. That's gonna, I'll give you a perfect example. Winfield, Antoine Winfield's son, Antoine Winfield Jr. He's a good player, and then he became a great player. You put him around talent, they went and won a Super Bowl. There's a perfect example right there. Patrick Surtain could be that guy. I would love Patrick Surtain to fall to the Dolphins at 18, just because his dad played there, and I would love I would love to see that. Also, quick sidebar too, man, and I'll finish it. I want to talk about the Duke Blue Devils. Not a quick sidebar. Something that I wanted to talk about a few days ago, and I just didn't get to it. And then today I'm going through my notes. I'm like, hold up. I want to talk about this because with college basketball on bracketology, I wanted most of today's talk to be about college basketball, and we'll do some NBA scores and picks for the games tonight against the spread or for the spread and the money lines, and then I'll wrap up today's show. But something happened in the tournament that I couldn't help to think that it was fake and it was fraudulent. And that's Duke had a player test positive. Now I know there's some other teams that have had players test positive. I get that, people. But Duke had a kid test positive, and Duke was the team, and Coach K was the team that shut it down and said no more non-conference games because they were definitely. And I'm sorry, moments ago, if I could just cut in, moments ago I have to interrupt. Alabama and LSU. Oh, I'm definitely watching this game. Came to midcourt. There was a little jawing back and forth. Players are being pushed back by their coaches. So this game is about this Alabama LSU game is about to go down. And there were no punches thrown, no fights or anything like that. But you normally don't see that in basketball. But Alabama and LSU, they are rivals. They are rivals in baseball. Both are good. They're rivals in football. They're both good. And they're rivals in basketball. They're just two rival schools. So that's cool to see. So it's definitely going to make me drink a cup of coffee from being up all night long, check on Cam, and then watch this game. But I understand that Duke said they had a player test positive, but it just takes me back to December where Coach K called off the non-conference games because his team was playing like shit. Basically was able just to say, okay, timeout. Like, you can't do that. Come on. You got to play. You can't just say, okay, we're playing like shit. And that's the reason, guys. Make no bones about it. The reason why Coach K stopped the non-conference schedule is because, I want the kids to go home. Let me try to do my Coach K. I want the kids. I want the kids to go home. No, that's not it. Okay, I can't do a Coach K. I try. But he wanted the kids to go home and spend the holidays with their families. No, you're getting your ass kicked and you see it looks really bad. And you could just call, and Coach K could just call a timeout. And I felt like that's what this positive test was the other day. It felt almost like Duke was saying, you know what, we're gonna get in. I don't want the embarrassment of them being able to say we didn't make the tournament. People can now say, well, they had a player test positive, so they couldn't go to the tournament. And that brings me to say what I've always said about Duke as long as I've been alive. And this has got nothing about being a Tar Heel. I don't like fakeness. And I can see through it in sports. And I know it doesn't get a lot of clicks. And I know it doesn't get a lot of retweets and a lot of pass arounds and a lot of people telling you, hey, man, way to be ahead of the curve. Same thing about Kyrie. I've been telling you guys since January, you guys owe that man an apology. The sports world owes that man an apology for the way that people were talking and shitting on him. They didn't even know why he left the team. No one has spoken to him, but everybody wanted to shit on Kyrie. He needs to retire. He should retire and pay Brooklyn back all the money that he got from them. Y'all boy don't want to play no ball. Kyrie don't want to play no basketball. Shut the fuck up. Did you talk to him? But see, you can't do that. You got to jump on TV and try to shit on people for clicks and for likes. We do it here. We do it different in invest in sports. We don't play those games. And I was ahead of the curve on that. I said something happened. He's not happy about it. It just happened to be right after the the riot broke out at the Capitol. And then it made me think about all the stuff that Kyrie was saying over the summer before the bubble started, telling the guys, look, we should not go play. Don't go play. We got to take a stand. All y'all gonna do is go play. They're gonna put Black Lives Matter down on the court. They're gonna let y'all write some stuff on the back of your jersey, but then control what you put on the back of your jersey, and then everything is gonna go right back to the way it was. And he was so right. He was so right. But because, and I say this freely, I don't care who calls me a hater or whatever. Kyrie is disliked simply because he was the guy who said, I'm done. I don't want to deal with LeBron's shit. I'm out. I am out. Say what you want to say. I am gone. Get me the fuck out of here. And I don't care who knows. And because LeBron is the media darling, oh my God, you're leaving LeBron? Like that honestly sounded so whack to me. Like the dude wants out, so what? He can't want to leave a certain player and go play with somebody, go play somewhere else. He can't be that guy, huh? Now we got to shit on him. Now we got to talk about he never won anything without this or without that or what. Yeah, all right, a lot of players too. We all know this. This ain't nothing new. But Kyrie is talked about like a dog. And I've been a guy that makes sure I stand on my soapbox and talk about Kyrie. Stand on my soapbox and get off the guy's back. He's a little weird and strange. No, he's just smarter than most of y'all. And he allows himself to think for himself, regardless of whether you agree with it or not. I respect people who think for themselves. I like that. I like what people think for themselves, man. They don't have to believe everything the news tells them or social media tells them or the government tells them. I like people who think for themselves. Sometimes I understand why some people out here acting up in stores over a mask. I get it. I'm the guy that just says, listen, it's the rule. We're all doing it, man. So you're not going to get away with not wearing one in the store or in a restaurant or in the grocery store or in CVS. They're not going to serve you. So why not just put I don't want to wear this shit neither, bro. Why not just put the damn thing on, ma'am? I'm not even going to get into you're protecting yourself and you're protecting us. And man, we all going to die. You're born to die. You start to die the minute you're born. And something's going to kill us all. But the rule is you gotta put a mask on, and I don't feel like arguing with people about the shit. I'm gonna just put the mask on, go in here, get my eggs and my bread and milk, and get the fuck out of here. And go in with I take my mask off as I'm walking out of the store, as I'm crossing over the threshold of the little metal things on the door that would slide and club, man, this shit off. But when I go in there, follow the rules. But I get why people think for themselves and they'll know you guys are sheep and blah blah blah. I get it. Kyrie's that kind of guy. But I can see through the fakeness of why you guys are talking about him. It's not because he said the world was flat. It's simply because he said no to Michael Jordan. Excuse me, to LeBron James. I can see through the fakeness of Duke, and I've always been able to see through the fakeness of Duke. Let's not act like Coach K is this genuine, great, perfect, squeaky clean guy. Coach K created something, and you see this a lot in college sports, and anybody that really follows college knows I'm telling the truth when I'm about to say this. There are more overrated college coaches, in my opinion, in college programs in football and basketball than there are overrated anything else in all of sports. And I'll tell you why. In college, in these small, sometimes small rural towns or out of suburbia, outliner suburbia towns, college coaches are the superstars. They're the priest, the pastor, the messiah, the icon, the mama, the daddy, the uncle, the granny, the grandma. College coaches are everything. They're protective. They can shut you down. They can get media credentials taken from certain people. You ask a college coach a question he doesn't like too many times, he can make sure that you don't get into the presser. You can't do that in the NBA. You can't do that in the NFL. You can't do that in major leagues. You can't do that in NHL. You can't do that in hockey. Soccer. You can't do it in golf. You can't do it in tennis, NASCAR. You can't do. Nobody's got that power. They do in college with college football, college basketball. That's number one. You could control the media. Number two, you could control what comes into your stadium or comes into your arena, i.e., the officials, especially in basketball. And I don't think that there's a college coach that has had more control, although by being bullying and intimidation. And let's not forget that Coach K was investigated by the NCAA not once, but twice for intimidation and bullying referees. There were refs that were clearly stating and saying they did not want to go referee. It makes them not want to even feel to go ref games there because they don't feel like they can do their job. If you go refing people, anybody that's been watching college basketball for years knows. Anybody that finds out for college basketball for years or watch college basketball for years knows that you go play at it's the running joke. You go play at Duke, you're not getting no calls. It's going to be super duper tough to win a game at Duke. Not because they're so great, because you're down 10 points anyway because of the refs. That's why I was always so convincingly the wins are more convincing. Like when Carolina would go in, every time Carolina wins a game at Duke, I'm giddy. I'm giddy over that more than anything else. Even a Michigan win at Ohio State, which hasn't happened in forever. But Carolina going in and beating Duke. I have been to a game sitting in the third row, right behind the Tar Heel bench before for Duke Carolina game on their senior night and watch Carolina go in there, win the ACC, ruin Duke's senior night, and beat them in Cameron. I stepped on the court after the game and took a picture, folded my arms in the B-boy stance. Folded my arms in the B-boy stance on Duke's court before. In my Carolina, not just had a Carolina towel. I wore a black tee and a Yankee fit, and I had the Carolina towel that night. So it feels great to go in because I know what it's like. You got to hit shots. You got to play well, man. You got to play out of your mind to win there. That's a setup, though. And that's always been a setup there. Also, too, a bunch of three-point shooting, which is fine. But the charge drawing became a staple of Duke basketball. We're going to get these calls anyway. So let's cheat the officiating. Let's cheat the game. And we're going to coach draw charge. We're not really coaching defense. We're going to coach draw. And one great defender come out of there, and that's Shane Battier. Shane Battier was a very good, if not great, NBA defender. Even though Kobe used to cook his ass all the time, and he started putting the hand in people's face. He started putting the hand up in between your shoe. When you go to shoot, Shane Battier was the guy that started putting the hand, and Kobe would still cook his ass. I loved when Kobe used to cook Shane Battier. I hated Shane Battier. He's the bust Carolina ass. That's why I hated him. When he got to the league, he wasn't as great a three-point shooter as he was in college, because of course the three-point shot in college was a lot closer. So I'm not going to be mad about the three-point shoot. But when I talk about overrated programs and overrated coaches, there's nobody that is more full of shit than it shouldn't be Cameron Indoor. It's Shamron Indoor, because it's a sham down there. It ain't no, but it's sham. Duke sits on the board right in the middle of the railroad tracks on the border of the hood in Durham. You got this white, upstanding, prestigious college in the hood of Durham. And if you ain't been to them country hoods in North Carolina, they're a lot different than these West Coast hoods. They're a lot different than the Midwest hoods. They're a lot different than the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast hoods. Then them dirty, dirty South hoods. They different. I'm going to just leave it at that. They handle business different. They do things differently down there. Duke sits right there. So there's already a tension there between the black community and Duke University. Duke has never done anything to try to help that and fix that. Ever. Even with a basketball program with the black kids that you're going to go get now. And I remember Coach K also, which kind of he be lying too, saying he much rather take a 2 or 3 star kid with 5-star work ethic instead of the one and done. Soon as his ass wasn't lucky enough to get any more fake national championships, then he started going after the one and done. And I even got a list of names here, guys that were supposed to be so great. Who does he make better? Who does Coach K make better? So you can intimidate the refs, you can control the media, you can intimidate the refs. So it fits the draw charge. You following me, guys? You following me, ladies and gentlemen? Think about it. You intimidate the refs so you can fix this whole draw a lot of charges atmosphere. So you get a lot of those calls. And then you shoot the three. And once again, I'm not going to bitch about the three because that's just part of the game. And guys in the NBA, this is what they do now. They shoot the three. And they're one of the first colleges jacking up a lot of threes. But I just always felt like that it was just a sham program. And he's a sham coach. And he's been caught in lies saying things to players. And you guys remember the Oregon loss? I think it was a Sweet 16 when they lost to Oregon, or second round when they lost to Oregon. And some way, somehow, he told, I guess, the player Dylan was busting their ass late. And Coach K during the hand exchange said, during the hand exchange, said, you're better than that. You didn't have to take those threes or take those shots or something. So he was asked before Coach K found out that he was asked, hey, what did Coach K say to you? And he told him. Coach K gets asked that, and he said he didn't say anything. He didn't say, I said good game. And the referee and the reporter goes, well, no, we just talked to the kid, and he said, you said this and this and that. And he goes, well, I'm telling you what I said. And I'm like, nah, duh, come on. Stop, liar. You're like Urban Liar. Not Urban Myers, Urban Liar. Listen to some of these names from guys that Coach K has had there. And why I think this is just honestly a sham program. NBA averager bust guys Sheldon Williams, Jaleel Okafor, Grayson Allen, who should have been kicked off the team. That guy is a nutball. I'm surprised he ain't. Never mind. I'm not even going to say that. Somebody will be offended like I give a shit, but I'll leave it alone on a Sunday morning. Dunleavy, the Bumley brothers, not Pumley, not Mason, Pumley, Bumley, because there's some bums. I call them the Bumley brothers. Jay Billis, Chris Duhon. Does he even get credit for Zion? Nike bought him for him. Kyrie, does he get credit for Kyrie? Kyrie played 9 games there. Look at the draft pick of the players. They even got drafted high. These guys suck. Cherokee Parks went number 12. Bobby Hurley went number 7. Christian Laettner went number 3. Antonio Lang went number 29. Even if you look at the national championships they won, albeit 5, they won their first one after beating UNLV in the Final Four. We already know what UNLV did. They beat them by 20 the previous year. UNLV threw that game. They'd have beat them again. The second national championship against Michigan, they beat 5 freshmen with a veteran team. They beat freshmen with seniors and juniors. One of their national championships is against Butler, a mid-major. Another one is against Wisconsin, a football school, and a team that was up beating Duke's ass until Coach K ran right to the refs on the court on national TV in front of everybody, right at the beginning of halftime when everybody's going to the locker room, and chewed the refs out like red-faced, upset, mad, intimidating the refs, bullying the refs. All of a sudden, come out in the second half, Grayson Allen is allowed to drive and throw his off arm while he's driving every play and getting layup at the layup. Oh, here comes Duke with a mighty comeback. That's why I was telling everybody Frank the Tank Kaminsky was average as shit, because you don't let that game get away. Frank the Tank Kaminsky, you got to go win that game, bro. This is your team. You're the star on this team. You got to go win that game. And he did. And then another national championship they beat Arizona. In the Arizona championship in 01, I will give them much, much credit because they beat number 3 Maryland in the Final Four. And then they beat Arizona for the national championship. And that team was good. I can't front. That is Chris Duhon, Jay Will, Battier, Dunleavy. That team was lethal as hell. That was a good basketball. It's a great basketball team. They all won national championship game and beating Arizona. And they beat, I believe it was, and there's a team too that a lot of people thought was an overmatched team anyway, because it's Richard Jefferson, that's Andre Iguodala on that team. I want to say Walton. Walton's on that team also. So it's Walton, it's Iguodala, RJ. 3 guys that Walton ended up being a coach. He if he went with the Lakers, he was nowhere near like his dad or even a great player. He was average to good NBA wise. And then Andre Iguodala is the Finals MVP for holding LeBron to 37 points a game. I don't know. Hey, rob Steph Curry like that. We know how that go. They don't want to get nothing to the vanilla. They don't want to get nothing to the Vanilla Brothers. My man Sage just dropped in. He says, "I'm offended." I'm sorry, sir. If you are offended, what are you offended about? What I say that offended you, Sage? And shout out to Miss Bonnie Chambers too. Bonnie, you're the only one that showed me love from the you know what. I'm gonna just leave it there. You're the only one that still kind of mess with me, man. You and Moj. I don't know what I did, but whatever. I always show love, and I'm always respectful, and I'm trying to figure out what happened, but you know, life goes on. But Coach K, Duke, the most overrated coach and program in all of sports is Coach K and Duke. I'm not saying Coach K doesn't care about his players. I'm not saying Coach K is not a nice guy to his family or to his players or to the just the basketball community and did a good job coaching Team USA. How hard is it to coach Kobe and Wade and LeBron and I mean like seriously I have to keep naming the names. Russell Westbrook and Durant. How hard is it to coach those guys to a world champion into a world championship, Olympic gold medal? How hard is it to do that with those guys all in their prime? All have at that point won um won championships except for LeBron and Wade had won one, Kobe had won one. I think they were the only two guys on that team with rings at that point. But he did such a great job with Team USA. Did you see the team? Why ain't he coach? Why ain't he coach the what was it the '02 team? '04? Why ain't he coach the '04 team that finished in fifth? That finished in fifth in the world. Why ain't he go? Why ain't he go coach that team? That was with young Melo and LeBron and those guys. They had to go get Kobe though. They had to come. They Kobe. You gotta come. You gotta come set us straight, man. You gotta come set us straight, Kobe. And that's what Kobe did. Kobe went set him straight. Helped them get the gold medal off monkey off the bat. They all went over and dapped up Doug Collins because Doug Collins and USA got robbed against Russia. I want to say 84 or 80. I think it's maybe 80. It might be 80. Might be 80 in the gold medal gold medal game. But yeah, Coach K, Duke Blue Devils, the most overrated coach and most overrated program and all the sports. LSU right now, 15:35 left in the first half, 7-10 down in Alabama. Alabama jumped up to an 8-point lead and bombing away from three. They just hit another one. They have 3-3 so far. They're up 13-7. And this is like I said, Alabama, they've been the number one team in SEC all year long, 23-6, 16-2 in the conference. I tell you, it's weird how some of these teams were able to stay away from COVID and got a chance to play like a real full schedule. I mean, it's 29 games Alabama's played. Today's Alabama's 30th game. So, like I said, win or lose this game, I believe if they were to get a number one seed, I don't think you would see people upset and complaining. Also, too, pregame little chest bumping and trash talking and John at mid court has translated into a lot of intensity. This game is intense early on, hard screens. Referees have already had to step between two guys. I love the fact that they didn't give a technical. It's emotional. You got two rivals playing for a chance to get an automatic berth. LSU's trying to win this tournament as a 3 seed, and Alabama's trying to win it and possibly secure themselves a 1 seed. LSU right now is probably looking at a 3 or a 4 seed in the tournament as they just bombed away from deep downtown from the right side. Cameron Thomas is 2 or 2 from 3 with 6 points right now, 12-13 with 14-10 left in the first half. So I'll wrap up today's show, man. Great stuff. Great stuff. I appreciate everybody tuning in. My man Sage ain't tell me why he was offended, so I don't know why Sage was offended. I can't answer that. Bonnie being here just talking. Moj also jumped in. What's up, Alfonso? Minnesota Girl 69 also joined in. I'll go back and wave at everybody. My man Raul Acosta jumped in. Fat Cat jumped in. Cuddy Joint jumped in. A lot of people jumped in, man. I appreciate you guys. I always do. Says I only got one live one ending the show right now, so I don't know how many people are still on. Bonnie said, hey, VJ, what's going on, Miss Bonnie? Appreciate you guys, man. So anyway, I'll wrap up today's show. Finish watching this conference championship game. Like I said, Alabama jumped up 8-0. Since then, things have settled down. LSU has gone on a 15-5 run, and they're bombing. They're just shooting threes from deep right now. 15-13 with just over 13 minutes to go in the first half before the first TV timeout, which I think is probably coming up right now on the out of bounds play. Exactly. TV timeout right now. First TV timeout under 14. Timeout right now. So the number 3 SEC LSU Tigers, they're up 2 on the Alabama Crimson Tide, who finished number 1 in the tournament. In the conference this year, trying to get a number 1 seed. So appreciate you guys tuning in. VJs on Sportsmanlike Conduct, Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, my live IG, my live YouTube. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, people. I might jump on a little later today. I'm feeling the fever of the sports talk coming back, man. Hope I'm doing it justice and giving you guys good shows to check out and watch. All right. VJs on Sportsmanlike Conduct, Spreaker.com.